Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us in beautiful Venice. Maybe to begin with a brief introduction to your film, Vivants, or On the Pulse. What can people expect when they watch it?
I think empathy for a group of people who struggle to keep their independency in their job. And yeah, a real empathy. This is what I expect, empathy for the group.
And tell us a bit about the origin of the story and why you wanted to capture this world on screen. I know because of your own background, working in journalism and then bringing together obviously your skills as a filmmaker.
There is nothing conscious because I wrote like 30 pages of a story, and then this was in those pages. I was not conscious. I didn't tell myself, well, I'm going to do a film about journalism. I wrote a story of a girl, and she was inside, that group. So that wasn't conscious or intentional. And then I started to write the script, and I had to deal with other struggle and of those people, and then I built the script. This was not intentional, but now having done it, I feel like I wanted to defend something.
Particular, central character of Gabrielle, whether conscious or subconscious, do you think there's a lot of yourself in her character? How do you see her as a person?
When I was shooting the film, she was next to the camera. She's an eye through which we can see those characters. It's a film about the way she's going to handle and the way she's going to struggle with to find a good place in that agency. But it's also, a focus. I mean, she focuses on them, and they exist as she exists. I mean, she's the main character, but she's also a view.
And tell us about your amazing cast, how you decided who you were going to have in your film, but I guess particularly for the group of journalists, those relationships needed to feel really lived in. We have to believe that they've been through everything together and they know each other very well. So there needed to be a certain chemistry. So not just getting each of the individuals right, but also that group dynamic.
I worked a lot in sport when I was a reporter. I followed Zinedine Zidane for 3 years. I was at the World Cup '98, and I followed a lot Aimé Jacquet, who was the coach. And I saw some coaches from other football clubs. And I think I did it like a football team. It's not only to take the best ones, it's to create an alchemy that is going to work and produce something gracious. And you choose the people also because this character, this actress is going to help be a great support for this actor, like Pascal Arbillot is going to be very, very solid for Roche Dizem, because Roche Dizem is the big boss and you can rely on her as an actress. She's very solid. She can rely on Jean-Charles Richet because they've known each other a little bit, they've worked together, they know how to work together, so it can be a great support because her part is not an easy part to play because it's more fragile and more in the emotions. So he's a great partner. The text is perfect, always very precise, doesn't miss a word, and it's very written, so it's a great support. So it's like really trying to create an alchemy between the other. And also you have to respect the symmetry of them being famous in their jobs as actors and them and their place in the agency. Roche Dizem now is one of the big actors today, so you believe instantly that he can be the actor, the big boss.
And then Alice, as Gabrielle, hers is in some ways maybe a more difficult role because, like you say, we're seeing the world through her perspective. She's often not at the centre of the action, but there's a lot of close-ups, and so we're having to read a lot from how she's thinking, how she's feeling, just from her expressions, and she does it incredibly well.
Yeah, it's not easy because I mean, she's got. It's a question of being charismatic. You know, she's got a. She's, when you film her face, she's got an intensity. Very, even if she doesn't move, she doesn't do anything, and as soon as she does something, it produces something. So you have to retain a lot because she's very expressive, and she's also someone who I think you want to watch because you know when she's just beautiful, but she can be also very simple. She can be very natural. She didn't wear, she accepted to wear no makeup, at least very little. It has to be someone you want to follow because you want to follow her face too. It's quite important that she produces something strong when you film her. I mean, this is what we call charisma, you know, charisma, grace of some actors is very important, that the main character.
And then sort of how we see this journalistic world. And it's a funny one because you sort of have a sense, you can feel within the characters a sense of nostalgia for the past. And when we see that kind of archive, there's little glimpses of all the things, you know, reporting from all different places in the world. And how, you know, those budgets being cut, that sort of in-depth investigation, that search for truth that requires time and requires being in those places. It's not something that you can just pop in and out of. It, you know, is captured so well, and it makes you reflect on how journalism is seen today. You know, how much is being written by AI, how much is clickbait headlines, and there doesn't seem to be as much appreciation for it as a really important industry.
Maybe that's preparing the film. I went back to those agencies, press agencies, to see how it become, you know, what they become, they had become, and I went to meet lots of journalists from everywhere, news channel to reporting programs, and I felt that nothing has changed. I mean, they have this DNA in common, passion in common for the search of the truth, and I think when I'm doing the interviews now, I know you can be a cinema journalist or you can be a great reporter. You have the same, I think, same passion to get something true, even in an interview here or even in Ukraine. I mean, there is a passion for the truth. And the journalism is not a threat because of the journalists themselves, but because of the financials who are taking over the news rooms, and for whom field reporters are becoming an unnecessary luxury, I think. And this is maybe what I wanted to underline.
And in the making of the film, was there a particular moment or scene that was very challenging to pull off, or on the flip side, what was the highlight for you along the way?
The sequence where Olivia danced on the bolero was very, it was something because he trained, you know, to be at ease with the dance, with the choreography, but he's not a dancer, so it's a kind of, it might be difficult because his friends are watching, so when he's doing this, what do they play as actors? They can be like, wow, it's beautiful, because it's not beautiful as a dancer. It's only an emotion that they have in common, a memory they have in common. So the difficulty is to have them dancing, and then the others, what is going to be, you know, what are they going to play, and trying to find the exact right reaction. This was not easy, and you want an easy sequence to do. I think it was just very fun for me to have this group of so talented actors and trying to put them together. It was really fun to do, really fascinating to do for a director.
And what do you hope ultimately people will take away from watching the film? I mean, it's really immersive, and you really, because we're following Gabrielle, we really feel like we're there. But like we said, it is raising these questions, and perhaps will make people reflect on how we do need to hold on to the value of journalism, especially in today's day and age, where sometimes it feels like the truth is something hard to pin down, and hopefully people will appreciate it as an industry more.
It's a great luxury we have in our countries, European countries, to have this independent journalism, and it's a big thing for me to protect and because if there is no journalism or independent journalists, you're not living in a democracy. So that's sure. And many people don't have the chance we have to have an independent journalism. So it's like abortion, it's like other subjects that we have to keep the fight, because everything can be, changed and interrogated. And I mean, in some countries the abortion is, interrogated, and we thought it was a right and it was going to stay, but we see that it's not the case. So the independence, I don't want to compare the abortion with the, we have to fight. I mean, we have to keep the fight, and it's hard because the fact that we need some rentability in the channels and everything, and the cost of the field reporters. But great journalism means moving, going to situations. I mean, you can't stay at your desk. It's impossible. You have to move. You have to meet the people. I mean, we could talk. We could do a Zoom. We could do a phone call. You could ask me the questions. But I don't know. Being face to face, maybe something is different. You look at the other person in the eyes and understand.
And what does it mean to you, to have your film here in Venice? I know it's not your first time, but what does this festival mean to you, and having a film here?
It's my 5th time. I feel like at home. It's very interesting to see your film in the same theater. All my films, I've seen them, I mean, in different theaters here, but seeing your films in the same place, you can see the changes, or you can, it's very interesting because you grow, I mean, you're older, but you do the premiere in the same place, Venice, and maybe you see the moves easier, it's a way to see the moves. I don't know, because, the question that I was asked, like, what is it to be here? Sometimes I want to to be true, I want to say, don't ask me this question, because what can I say except, wow, it's great. And yesterday the journalist from Canal Plus, I know him, and I went to him, and the first thing I said, please don't ask me what it feels to be here, because I'm in front of the camera, I said, fantastic. But it's so much more. I can't really give a precise answer. I couldn't express by words. It's very intimate also. It's too intimate, I think. And I haven't intellectualized the thing. So I'm trying to answer, but I don't feel my words right.
And finally, do you already know what you might be working on next? Are you going to let this film settle and see how you go?
No, I know, but it's too early. Yeah, it's too early. I think there is something with those 3 films I made, which comes to an. It's like the end of something, And maybe I want more action. Like, I think I'm going to go towards bigger things and action, more drama, more,
And in your career so far, and coming to festivals like this, how have you seen the cinema landscape change? Perhaps, do you think there's more and more opportunities now for female filmmakers? Do you feel like we're in a good place? Do you feel like there's more progress to be made?
I'm making films in France where we are very supported, and I never felt the difficulty as a woman to make films. But what I always still feel as a difficulty is the idea of being legitimate. It's a very, we have a big fight to that, it's like, being a director, there is always a question, and I think for the artist, of am I legitimate to do this? And it's more, when you're a woman, it's double, it's double. The question of legitimacy is in question. I mean, this is a real thing. For example, when you go to one coach was telling me French feminine football team arrived in a World Cup. They spent 10 minutes watching and wondering, am I legitimate to be here? So, but the guys, when they arrive, they go directly training, and and they don't hesitate 1 second. It's normal. We always are like, wow, we are so lucky to be here. So that's the question about being a female. I mean, if you have a good story, a good story and actors, and I didn't feel it difficult as a woman. I feel it difficult to make an independent film. It's always difficult. You have to fight for it. You have to find the money and everything. But not as a female director.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And really enjoy your, did you say sixth time? Sixth time in Venice.